I've been doing it for the best. Now the best part of this video is moving on. Now moving on, you then have moving on, you then ensure that you make. What's going on, everyone? I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope in the next few minutes throughout this video I make it even better by dropping you some knowledge bombs around rent to rent and how you guys can make money from properties you don't own. Now, one thing you should know is I've been doing this for 3 years myself, alongside acquiring assets to help with my cash flow. So it's something I have some knowledge of. And you see, no matter how much money you have or how much money you can raise from investors, we're all going to run out of cash one day. So having a rent to rent as part of your strategy and having that business there in your earlier years definitely has many benefits, such as cash flow, experience of managing tenants, understanding the costs of running and managing properties, learning how to negotiate, learning how to market, and of course, it doesn't take much capital to obviously get started in comparison to going out there and acquiring properties. So with that, let's run through how rent to rent typically works. And remember, if you stay until the end, I'm going to give you a full breakdown of some of the most important parts of the rent to rent strategy that not many people out there share unless they're selling you a course. So you essentially lease or rent a property of an existing landlord for a period of time. Usually I recommend 3 to 5 years, that's kind of what we do. And you then pay the owner or the letting agent the rent you have agreed with them, and you take everything else on, which includes the management, the maintenance, and the bills. Now, this will obviously be in a contract, so don't worry too much at this point. Also note that for our specific agreements that we've done on our apartments, we don't cover stuff like electrical or boiler problems, but we do cover all cosmetic issues and other fixture and fittings within the property. We take full responsibility for that. So maybe that's something you want to be sure of as well. Don't take ownership of everything, try and negotiate certain things. Now moving on, once you've done this, you then ensure that you make more profit from that apartment, flat or house than you have agreed in terms of the rent that you're going to be paying the landlord. And you've got to take into account all of the costs along the way. So very quickly, I'm going to give you guys a quick example. Let's say you go out there and you agree to rent a property off the anxious investor who's far too busy making YouTube videos and doesn't want to manage any one of his, let's say, number of flats in Birmingham city centre. Now you will negotiate with myself that you're giving me, let's say, £850 a month for 3 years, and you'll cover all the maintenance and void periods and sign a management agreement with myself and take on all of the bills associated, basically making my life easier. Now, the anxious investor being so busy getting people to like his videos and subscribe, obviously accepts the offer. And you then figure out what the costs are associated with that. Because remember, this is a business, you need to be making profit. So let's assume the council tax is £250 a month, the electric is £200 a month, water is £100, broadband, let's say £50, insurance £50, and you then lease out some furniture because that anxious guy never put none in. And let's say that's £200 a month as well. Your total cost with the £850 rent that you agreed is £1,470. Now you're probably thinking, bloody hell, that's a lot of money. How do I make more than £1,470 a month off somebody else's property? Well, for this particular example, using a flat in a prime location of Birmingham city centre, you would rent it out per day or per weekend on your own website, booking.com and Airbnb. Now factor in costs such as linen, cleaning and service charges to operators, which I can run through in more detail in other videos. Let's just say you can rent it out on average for £85 net per day, taking into account all them costs. And let's assume you don't even have full vacancy across the month, but you're able to achieve this for, let's say, 22 days of the month. That gives you a total of £1,870. So straight away you have a £400 net profit per month coming in off a property that you don't own by simply letting it out by its day. Now you haven't had to fork out the 50k or 100k or whatever it is in terms of fees and deposits to own this actual property. You've simply leveraged off a landlord to get yourself some cash flow. Now I know I've kind of oversimplified this, as there is management involved, there's marketing, and not every day will be the same price too. Some days you may get £150 a night, other days you'll obviously get a little bit less. Plus, if you aren't established, you may also have to put down a deposit, which is usually about a month's rent just to start off with. So this is something worth noting as well. However, if you are serious about property and you don't have much funds to start with, you can definitely get going for around £3,000 and maybe get yourself 1 or 2 properties, bringing in cash flow on a monthly basis that within a couple of months pay back your initial investment. And this is what we did with the 7 SA apartments in Birmingham. And even despite the crazy few years we had when obviously everyone was in isolation and people weren't going out, we've still been able to take profits and buy an actual asset as well, which I've shared over here in another video. Now, I just want to quickly say also as well that rent-to-rent strategies can work with HMOs, and I will state rent-to-rent is a business because it's a lot more difficult than just getting a property and throwing it out on Airbnb or just getting them rooms let out. With HMOs, if you have a house that maybe from a tired landlord, for example, that you know you could rent it out per room, you again could use the same process of making more profit off that house and cash flowing off the top of it. And from a landlord's perspective, in case you're thinking, why would they do that? Why would they just give me the house and not do it? Firstly, it's peace of mind getting guaranteed rent, because 1 or 2 months void a year can completely destroy your expected ROI or yield. Plus, if you're like me, the anxiety I get when a tenant calls, it's never something I really look forward to or enjoy. So if you're thinking, why would people, landlords more specifically, give their properties? It's because 1, the work involved, 2, they may just not want to do it, and C, maybe they just want a lot less stress in their life. So don't overthink it, guys. There are landlords out there. As a landlord myself, I'd consider it, and I've also got it from other landlords myself. Now, how can you get involved? Now, when it comes to being compliant, you want to ensure that you have all the necessary legal compliance checks in order. And this is really important, guys, so please take notes of these. Firstly, you're looking at professional indemnity insurance, and essentially you're going to need this to protect yourself against any claims made against you for financial loss. For example, let's say a landlord says you're liable for a repair that you were contractually required to do and it wasn't done, or maybe it was done bad, resulting in the landlord having to fix it themselves. You need that type of insurance. You then have public liability insurance, which basically protects you against claims made against you for damage or physical injury. For example, let's say a tenant falls over in one of your properties and they try to claim against you. Alongside this, you need employer's liability, which again is similar to public liability, and this is only required obviously if you have employees as you ramp up your business. And it works on the same premise. If the employer gets injured at work, you need to have the right insurance. Alongside this, you also need a specialist insurance broker who understands rent to rent as a business. So please make sure that they understand this. If you need more help with this, give me a shout. And then you also need to register with the Information Commissioner's Office. And the ICO is essentially an independent body that upholds information rights within the UK. Then we have the Property Redress Scheme. And again, guys, a lot of this is similar to deal sourcing as well, as I know a lot of you are eager to get into deal sourcing. So I do have an old video on that as well. And this is essentially a redress scheme which allows consumers to escalate a complaint against a member of the scheme. So make sure you join a redress scheme if you're doing rent to rent. Now for us, we use the PRS as they, in our opinion, give us the best value. And just a final one, guys, depending on obviously your area, you may need to be registered as a landlord as well. And obviously, whilst you're thinking about purchasing all of that stuff, make sure you have your limited company set up as well, where you're going to be carrying out these business activities, because you want to separate the liability from your personal name into a limited company and run it like a business. And then, my good friends, it's all about going out there and finding deals and getting yourself cash flowing off properties that you do not own. Now remember, with these setup costs and taking into account that you could be maybe asked for a month's deposit before you even start operating your rent-to-rent business, you may have to increase the buffer of savings that you have available, especially if you don't get bookings or rooms filled straight away. So it's always worth having a few £100s aside. I'd probably get started with around £3,000 personally as a bare minimum, but I know some of you out there are a lot more riskier than myself, and you can make it happen maybe with even half of that. But it all depends on your ability to negotiate the rents, the deposits, and get the best rates for the particular rooms. And with that, my good friends, that is rent to rent in a nutshell. A basic beginner's video as requested by many of you, and I will do more around this if you need more information. Obviously for myself, you know, we've been doing this for so many years, sometimes I forget the things that maybe are useful for you guys. So obviously let me know in the comments if there's any more questions I can obviously elaborate on, or if there's any videos that you want to see. And until next time, guys, I just want to take this moment to thank you for sticking around when you guys could have been doing anything, but you chose to spend a few moments with me, and that makes you pretty awesome. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching.